Well, folks, Thursday, the 5th of May 2022, and last night we had Jerome Powell bringing in a 50 basis point hike um, in this rate hike cycle, and I think we haven't seen that sort of a hike since 2000, if I'm quoting that correctly. But while we did have this hawkish hike, there was a note of dovishness in the speech. Jerome taking 75 basis point potential off the table essentially for the rest of the year. You know, we were looking at really 3 50 basis points hikes in May, June, July, and then potentially into 75 basis point hikes times two to round out the year. But that's off the table. And the market did interpret that as dovish last night. There was a bit of selling interest right up until Jerome really pulled it out of the bag. So we're going to go over and look at these charts now, and I'll show you what was really going on, and we'll go with the SPOOs. And this gray area here is the gap that we had from Thursday into Friday last week on Globex reopen. And then the blue range here is from the daily bar chart, and I've talked about that enough on prior videos. So really important for us to be able to monitor how the market was trading. If I go down to a 1 minute chart here, and we've just done this in the room. I don't actually think. Oh, here we go. I'll just kind of briefly bore you with the activity on the statement, which was actually quite, there was selling here of interest, really at the 7 o'clock marker on the bottom of the range. You'll see right here that selling interest coming in. But you'll see that once Jerome started talking at about 7:30, again, there was selling at the bottom of the range here. Now, within about 5 minutes, Jerome did start saying that 75 basis points was, it was potentially off the table, right? And so the market just really turning around and getting back into the range here, testing on this trend breakdown that we've had. Back up then to test on the gap low. A little bit of indecision going on here, but not for long. These are 1 minute bar candles. And then you can see that, we just really started to rally then up through that gap with a VIX dropping drastically at that point. So we're actually 8 minutes past 8 here. But you can see here, this kind of turnaround was denoted by basically the VIX pull back here to its electronic trade opening price, and then just turned around south again. And that's when we got the rally starting to come in here. So, sort of a confluence between technicals and fundamentals coming out of Jerome's speech, and then just rallied into the close. And that's been it on the SPOOs. So that's kind of, just a summation of the event on 1 minute bars. But you can see now we're back inside the range to get up on the daily bar, to see the significance of that. What I think, we have had that sort of dovish commentary. We are relatively weak in the S&P 500, going out on the broader view here of the daily bars. We're still holding this range, which is good. But already this morning and last night, the 20 EMA coming in as resistance here. I think we will probably need to come on down on a pullback to at least 42, 44s here to find buyers on the trend before we can then look to trade and rally to the top 43.59 quarter. And you can see that selling down to find those buyers already underway now. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually need to come down and test the 42.04s to pick up buyers, and what an opportunity that will be if we get it. NASDAQ, very similar, very technical stuff yesterday. Again, like in the pre-US video I talked about yesterday, just this former gap in gray here, just such a difficult area. And yesterday was not really too different when you're trading this area, but it's important for context really to gauge strength and weakness. So 2 attempts to sell down below there. Ultimately, really at half four, the best sports had come in 12,898. So if you were along that level coming into the event, you did see quite a P&L swing, but you weren't really threatened at all on your stop there below, the low of the morning there. So, low of the pit session at that time. rallying then up through closing that gap. Now we're going to make that one, going to turn that one grey. We'll probably leave this prior one on as well, just to see, if we do come back down here. I do think the buyers will step in as 131.63s on this gap high, and on this gap low it's 13.252 spot 25. So yeah, a bit of retracement coming in from a pretty decent reaction to a dovish hike, if you like. So a hawkish dovish. Just I know that doesn't make too much sense, but the traders, you're going to know what I mean. All right, and the Dow, yeah, I'm quite interested to look at the Dow here on the daily. So yeah, look at that area now, the 34,031s coming into play again as the high of the session last night, just ahead of the close at 8:30 there. Well, the 8:30 to 9:30 candle, putting in a high 34,031s. I was actually looking at some shorts here, the 33,717s, just hedging against a spoos long I had. So I'd kind of done my trade, I think, up into this area, and then just saw an area that we could potentially turn down from. And so as I was holding spoos long as well, I just thought, well, fine, I'll hedge some of that spoos long on the Dow short, and just got walloped out of that, but really didn't give up that much at all on that play. So yeah, a little bit of retracement coming in now, but really, what a line in the sand we have at 34,031s, which is the high of day 3rd of March 2022, and it's the low of the 12th of April this year as well. So you've seen then the high of day both on the 25th and 26th of April, and indeed and yesterday. So while we've seen a really decent amount of buying yesterday, we are going to need to pull back to find the longer term buyers that could be as low as 33,303 to then keep moving up and get into what could be new all-time highs by the end of the summer. So I was kind of seeing a nice little trend here. I think definitely we're going to be trading 34,573s before probably the end of next week. This is not trading or investment advice though, so do take that on board. The euro, yeah, just pretty simple stuff really. The dollar having topped out for now. We did see the euro coming back down to test on this trend. That we've had on, some morning trend that we've had on since probably last Monday, or sorry, it's this Monday, and picking up the buyers, driving into target 1.06560s. We talked about this yesterday, and then just a little bit of taking profits into that. But the big question here is, has the dollar had sort of a fake top out here, right? Has the dollar had, well, actually, I'll go over to a daily or a weekly even to illustrate this point, right? The question here for me on a swing long in the euro is, while we might have put in a top last week on the dollar, have we now had the breakout, finding support here, and then we're going to just drive on? So I think the close on this week is going to be all interesting. I think we have, generally, if we have a steady enough NFP tomorrow, I think we can quite easily then fade down lower on the Dixie. So I think if we have an absolutely horrendous NFP, we may probably then look for next week to break above the 103.82s. But for now, I'm holding longs euro, which is by default a short on the dollar index. So that's what we have there on the currency outlook. And oil, yeah, well, I said yesterday we're hitting 108.28 target on the upside, and you got it. So there you go. Ollie smashing a trade there. So well done to Ollie, taking a very handsome size move out of oil yesterday, sticking to his guns. He was long 106.20s and actually getting the best, probably the second best move out of the day and the second leg up. We were quite bid, as you can see, during the European morning on oil on the back of Europe bringing in renewed bans on, sort of a new approach to the ban on Russian oil. Of course, one man does not see eye to eye with the rest of Europe, and his name is Mr. Viktor Orban. Of course, he is Putin's buddy, and he's kind of at the moment vetoing the European plans. But I'm sure the European Council and Ursula von der Leyen are going to be able to get him out of that position or kind of override him in some form. Just more downside being seen on DAX here into lows of day 114,166s. But anyway, on oil, I think while we may have a shallow pullback here, I think it's in the post. Once we get all agreed on the European Council for the ban on Russian oil, I think that's going to be an absolute shit show of a situation for energy for Europe and for the rest of the world, really, because it's not just going to affect Europe, obviously. And with that, I think you're going to be seeing just crazy prices coming in on oil. I mean, what 110s, 120s, forget about it. I think by the end of the summer on oil, 134s. That's what I'm talking about. 134s. Will we get it? I don't know. I'll be back on here to gloat about it if and when it happens. If it doesn't happen, you won't see me. No, I think that's just the situation. I think we're in at the moment in oil. Buyers are defending the $100 marker for sure. Now I think that's going to be defending at 104.12, which has been a pretty key area over the past couple of months. And gold hit into 1900s, just taking it back a bit now on a dollar that's retracing back up this morning. All right, so that's it for me for another pre-US session. And yeah, NFP tomorrow. Not sure how much trading there is to be done today. There is a nice fluid run to the pullback here on these equities, to the downside, but it's going to be pretty soon running into more buying, I would say. So I'm going to be more interested to see how we open on equities today, rather than be trying to hit into some massive trade on the long side, in front of NFP tomorrow. All right, have a good session, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.